good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
Oh, you're so cool, Brewster! Everybody's a suspect! Hey, Ted, where the hell's Corkscrew? Don't fuck with the Chuck!
A question for everyone. What do you get when you have a Friday the 13th film and a big barrel of monkey shit? Your answer? Jason Goes to Hell. Before we talk about all that, we hit 300 subscribers. Once again, on behalf of myself and everyone involved, thank you. We love you guys. Coming for somebody who doesn't drink. My cousin TJ, who congrats on getting a house, by the way, bud. He recommended Twisted Tea. My favorite type of tea is raspberry. Thankfully, they had a raspberry flavor. Here we go. God damn, boy! That's fucking good. Wow. Holy crap. I might have to start buying that. Jason Goes to Hell. It was directed by Adam Marcus, and this is his directorial debut. Harry Manfredini's back, which is always awesome because his scores always kick ass. The script was written in 4 days. It definitely fucking shows. Sean Cunningham was coming up against a deadline. He ended up recruiting my boyfriend's back writer. His name is Dan Luray. They basically just sat in a room for 4 days until the script was done. It sucks because, like, as much as I'm gonna, like, shit talk this movie, I do give it credit because the body horror in this movie, like, it's one of the pros, the body horror is super good. Like, they tried something new. You know, I can't fault anyone for trying. I don't know, I wanted to like this movie. I do, because it's such, like, an outcast, and, like, everyone hates it, and, like, I don't know, I wanted to enjoy it, but I'm on that side of the fence where this movie's hot trash. But another fun fact, the amount of male nudity, which isn't really a lot in this movie, but Adam Marcus wanted a tit-for-tit rule to help justify all the the female nudity. He wanted the men to do it as well to kind of balance it out, and I like that rule. In horror movies, it's always like boobs and the female being exposed. I don't want to say like I like that, but like I like the fact that they made it even. You know, like they leveled it out. Lastly, the Necronomicon from fucking Evil Dead is in this movie. And the Kandarian dagger, and it's a whole big what the fuck movie. And we're about to get right into it. So the movie begins, this woman's on her way to a cabin at Camp Crystal Lake, getting ready to check in and like unwind. So she goes to take a bath and the power goes out. So she goes downstairs to see what's going on. She gets attacked by Jason, cuts her right in the chest. She ends up running out through the woods. Jason's trailing behind her as usual. Turns out this whole thing was part of a military operation. There's fucking like SWAT team and like UAV drone inbounds from fucking Call of Duty. And Jason's just eating all these shots, all these bullets left and right. And literally a fucking missile comes down and blows his ass up. His body explodes and you see his heart. Clear as day, it's just his heart separated from his body. It starts like pulsating a little bit. This is gonna be a rough one to cover. We see Jason being transported to the federal morgue in Youngstown, Ohio, which, hey, I live in Ohio, so it's like 2 hours from me. We get a cameo of Kane Hodder rocking this bitchin' ass mullet. He's one of the security guards, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So the whole time he was being transported, you see him being like wheeled down the hallway. The body, the black bag is not smoking at all. But all of a sudden, when he goes into the medical examiner's room, it's like already just smoking, and then he unzips it, and it's just like this huge blast of smoke. The coroner is like examining everything, and he sees that Jason's heart's 2 times the size of a normal heart, and it's got like all these like contusions and abrasions and all this shit on it. And then he gets the bright idea to fucking eat it. He eats Jason's heart. Why, you may ask? No one fucking knows. I feel I could eat alphabet soup and shit out a better script than this movie. It is so fucking stupid. But with all that being said, I'm going to refer to Jason because he has like 4 or 5 different hosts throughout the whole movie, and it'll just make it a lot easier to say Jason. So Jason is now in he's in the coroner's body, and he's walking down the hallway, and Kane Hodder makes a little joke and saying that Jason Voorhees guy was nothing but a big pussy anyway. And guess what? He kills both of them. And he kills his partner by using a probe. So he probes him to death. Yeah. We get to hear Jason's backstory on the news. I actually like this part because we get to find out Jason's father's name, which is Elias Voorhees. And Elias Voorhees is such a badass name. On the TV show, they're interviewing Creighton Duke, the badass Creighton Duke, which, another fun fact, it's an homage to George Romero's Hero because he wanted to have like the African American be the heroes. I totally respect that. Creighton Duke in this movie is such a badass. A lot of his motives and like his plans don't really make sense to me. I don't know. It's just a messy movie to begin with, so can't fault me on that one. But basically, Creighton Duke is the only man that knows how to kill him. You hear him like repeatedly throughout the movie saying that a Voorhees can only kill a Voorhees, which totally reminds me of fucking Transformers because a Prime can only kill a Prime. And like, it's so fucking dumb.
Only a
Voorhees
can defeat me.
We meet Diana, who works at this restaurant. Creighton goes there and pretty much says, like, I know your secret. He tries to make, like, a proposition to her. He wants her help to finally put Jason, like, in hell forever. And she's like, fuck you, dude. Steven is driving down the street. We see him rocking out in, like, the most awkward fucking way. He's just, like, singing and dancing in his car, like, all alone. It's very strange. He picks up these hitchhikers, and they say that they're going to go to Crystal Lake, have premarital sex, do drugs, and this and that. But, like, Steven's joke and the way he, like, delivers it is such, like, a cringy, like, what?
planning on smoking a little dope, having a little premarital sex, and getting slaughtered.
So they kind of, like, mock him, and they're like, well, we are actually going to go to Crystal Lake and have premarital sex and do drugs and hopefully not get slaughtered. And it's just real awkward after that. The one girl in the passenger seat, she ends up saying that she wants Steven to come with them so they can all go skinny dipping and just have fun. He pretty much shuts that shit down. Anyway, they all go skinny dipping and they're getting ready to have sex. And the girl that was in the passenger seat, I forget her name because I don't care about this movie. She ends up going to take a whiz. Jason, in his new form, he ends up killing her. He ends up killing the horny couple that are about to bang. And Jason goes in there and kills them. We see Jason in this giant bush stalking Diana. Deputy Josh is there to kind of say everything's gonna be okay, blah blah blah. She ends up going back inside the restaurant and he's there with his chick who shows up. Jason kicks the door and snaps her neck, which I thought was kind of funny. He ends up taking Deputy Josh, strips him butt ass naked, straps him down on a table. We see him put shaving cream on his face and he shaves his face. Oh, this movie's dumb. Out of nowhere, he just leans in and they pretty much kiss, and it's the only way to have Jason's soul or this slug. I don't fucking know. It's this giant worm slug thing. It passes through his mouth, and now Deputy Josh is the new host. He goes to Diana's house and attacks her, and she pulls out a 38 stub nose. Boom! Right in the head. And here's where it gets real messy, because he gets on top of her after she just blasted him in the melon. This weird slug thing's coming out of his tongue, and he's getting ready to put it in her mouth. And Steven shows up. They have a little scruffle. He ends up knocking Steven across the room or something. Deputy Josh sees his reflection in the mirror, sees that it's Jason. He pauses long enough just so Steven can go grab the fire poker and stab him in the back, and he flies out the window for some fucking reason. The next morning, we see character Jessica. She comes home with her baby, and she sees Betty scrubbing the floor of all the blood. The blood on the carpet's red, but when she shoots Deputy Josh or Jason, it's nothing but black goo. Once again, this is a very messy, very clunky movie, and I'm so sorry for just not talking positive about it, but it's just so hard. I've yet to meet one person that says, this is a good movie. From start to finish, it is a great movie. You will never find that with this movie. If there is a fan out there that's a diehard fan of this movie and will defend it, my hat's off to you, man. So the sheriff shows up and takes Steven into custody. He's locked up in his cell. I guess one of his best friends is a cop. His name's Deputy Randy. He goes out of his way to help Steven a lot. He puts him in this jail cell, and the cell right next to him, you guessed it, Creighton fucking Duke. He keeps telling Steven that I have all this information about how to save your girl and save the baby and everything, but it comes with a price. Steven's like, I'll pay anything, and he keeps fucking breaking his fingers for the littlest bit of information. He's like, are you ready to pay? Snap. Are you ready to pay? Snap, snap. Makes zero sense. And then the third time he gives him information, he goes, it's on the house. Oh god, it's bad. Apparently Jason had a sister, Diana, which is Steven's girlfriend's mother. Yeah. And now that she's dead, there's only two people that can finally put Jason in hell or quote-unquote reborn him. It's the baby or Jessica! Steven ends up tricking his friend Randy taking his gun out of his holster and like holding him at gunpoint, puts him in the jail cell, locks him in. Kind of like how Megan did to Deputy Rick in part 6.
Wherever the red dot goes, you bang.
Which is way better, by the way. Part 6 is way fucking better than this movie. So Steven ends up taking the baby to the Voorhees house. There we get to see the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead from Evil Dead. Like, oh, it's so fucking cool. Like, I love Evil Dead. It's my top 3 favorite franchises. Jason shows up and attacks the guy from the news anchor. He attacks the news anchor. He ends up transferring his soul, like, through the slug into the anchor's host now. The old host, Deputy Josh, dies. And this is the VHS rewind moment.
Clear. Clear.
Once he transfers the host, he starts like melting all of a sudden, and it's the body horror. Like, it's slimy, it looks like wet bubble gum. It's so fucking cool. Like, his jaw falls off and you see like all his bones and shit. The practical effects right there, top notch. Jason's yet again in another host. Jessica's attacked by the guy from the news station, Robert. So Steven shows up and saves her. He ends up running the news anchor over a couple times. Like, he just keeps going back and forth over him. So he saves Jessica. She gets pissed, kicks him out of the car, and takes off back to the police station. Deputy Randy shows up. Steven and Randy fight, and it's such like a Three Stooges moment because they're like talking to each other in the middle of it. It's just extremely clunky, man. So Robert, aka Jason's like newest host, I fucking hate the storyline. Like, why? What is this movie? Robert shows up, aka Jason, to the police station and ends up killing and attacking quite a few people. Steven ends up shooting him right in the fucking forebrain. Boop! Just for him to wake up and kill and attack more people. They end up going to the diner. Jason shows up, lays waste to everyone. Jessica ends up leaving Steven at the diner, but he finds a note from Creighton Duke saying, "Meet me at the Voorhees house." She goes to the Voorhees house. Creighton tosses the dagger to Jessica. When she catches it, it turns into the Kandarian dagger from Evil Dead, which is like the coolest fucking part of this movie, besides like the body horror. The sheriff shows up with Deputy Randy. She doesn't know which one to trust, and you hear Creighton down in the fucking cellar like, kill them both, kill them both. So she ends up stabbing the sheriff, but it turns out Deputy Randy is the host of Jason. He takes the baby, and he's getting ready to like have the slug come out of his mouth into the baby. Steven shows up, runs across the room with a machete, cuts his throat. Kind of actually really cool because like his neck is half cut and the slug comes out like through his neck. Jason's sister's body is in the basement or the cellar. The little slug goes down there and crawls right up her bunghole. We have Jason Voorhees in full original form. Not blown up, not nothing. All that shit right out the window. I will admit, like, I like his look in this one. Not so much like his outfit, but like I like how his mask is kind of like crushed into his face and like his fucking brain and shit's like all hanging out. It's kind of a cool look. I dig it. Steven and Jason square off, and it's the most boring fucking fight because all Jason does is keep picking him up, throwing him down. Walks over, picks him up, throws him down. This is so fucking stupid, so weak. You're Jason Voorhees, man. Rip this dude apart. Jessica ends up taking the dagger, stabbing him in the chest. This big beam of light, I guess, comes out of the sky, and soul or something, like all these lights come out of Jason. It's so stupid. These like giant like demon hands, they look so fucking bad. It's like paper mache hands come up out of the ground, drag Jason underground. That's it. Steven and Jessica, they end up walking off into the sunset, literally walking off into the sunset. The ending to this movie, you know what, fuck it, this is the second VHS rewind moment because I didn't put one in part 7 and part 8 because I didn't really think there was any moments that justified a VHS rewind moment. The ending to this is one of the most badass and just biggest cliffhangers in horror history. You see Jason's mask and then you see Freddy Krueger's glove come out of the dirt and pull his mask under and you hear him laugh. And it was supposed to set up for Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, which we all know who would have won. Ash fucking Williams, baby. There's no denying that.
Hail to the king, baby.
That unfortunately never happened. They made it into a graphic novel. That's literally this movie. It's a giant what the fuck movie. Like I said, I wanted to like it. I really did. I just can't find myself to be on that side of the fence about it. It has a lot a lot of problems from start to finish. The script was written in 4 days. Right there alone, 4 days. To come up with a fucking Hollywood movie? No. No, not happening.
No.
We are almost done with the series. We have Jason X, Freddy vs. Jason, and then the remake. Creeping up to the end of the series. Let me know what you guys want to see me cover next. I got a couple suggestions, but I want to hear from you guys. Make sure you got that bell notification on, all that good stuff. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and until then, see you later.